Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all present today. Welcome to the first round of English debate competition in the Varsity Science e-Debate Challenge 2021. The motion for this debate is, in light of short films, Safe Rough, this house regrets the use of animals in scientific research. I will be the chairperson and the timekeeper. Let me now introduce the debaters to you. Acting as the government team for this debate is a team from Uni KLA with Mr. Adam as the Prime Minister, Mr. Irfan as Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Haziq and Whip. Acting as the opposition team for this UPM Putra with opposition leader, Mr. Chun Kat as the second opposition speaker, Mr. Sudarshan as the opposition whip. Our panel of adjudicators consists of Mr. Muhammad Nur Amir bin Abdul Rahman KM, Mr. Amir Shazwan bin Zaili from UK. Before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. First, sensitive issues related to religious, races, and touching a person's personality are prohibited. The use of Quranic verse and hadith to strictly prohibited. Each debater may speak for 7 minutes. Speech is time will begin to count as debater begins to speak. The bell will be rung once at the end of the first minute to indicate that POIs are allowed to be asked by the opposing bench. Meanwhile, at the end of the 6 minutes, the bell will once to indicate that the time allocated for POIs has ended. The bell will be rung twice at the end of the 7 minutes to indicate that the debater's time has expired. For the reply speech season, both teams will be given 1 minute as preparation time before making their respective reply speeches. At the 3rd minute of reply speech time, the bell will be rung once. In the 4th minute, the bell will be rung twice to indicate the time for the reply speech has ended. While the debater is speaking, the opposition team can form facts or explanation or corrections. The opposition teams are allowed to turn the microphone on or raise hand and papers to alert the speaker for POIs. No POIs are allowed during this reply speech season. If the debater loses internet connection during the debate, the debaters are given 10 minutes to return to the debate session. When the debater successfully returns to the debate session, the debater can continue the debate where they stop and there are no deduction marks. If the debater is unable to enter the room after 10 minutes, the next debater from the opposition team will continue the debate season. Debaters are reminded to ensure internet available and in good condition for the smooth running of the debate season. Victory will be awarded to the team that gets a majority vote from the panel of adjudicators. The decision of the panel of adjudicators is final. Okay, now come to our debate today. To open the minister to start debate session.
Sorry, anyone? What happened?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think her connection.
I think he.
Wait, let me ask in the chat for the edge. Can we start? Or we should wait for the CP?
How about X? No. I will be responsible for timekeeper. I will give around 2 minutes for check internet connection. Okay or not?
Okay.
Okay, we shall start now.
Okay. 1, 2, agree. Good, good evening, Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are having a great day today. Before starting today's debate, can I share something to you guys? Do we know that animals actually help humans in so many ways? From professional support such as guide dogs, from the blind as therapy dogs, and also they can other animals can also offer us love and companionship in our daily lives. So what happened suddenly if all of the animals that we like as a child growing up, seeing them like, wow, this animal is so cool, and suddenly we know now that they are subject to use for scientific research. In relating to today's motion, the motion for today's debate is, in light of the short film Save Roth, this house regrets the use of animals in scientific research. We define the motion as regretting the we define the motion as regretting the use of all animals in testing and scientific research for the benefit of medicine, cosmetic, drugs, and many more. I repeat, we regret the use of scientific research for animals. Our stance is clear. We support by not, we regret the use of scientific research on animals. Animals should not be on our experiment, but should be our friend. Moving on. In the current world or status quo, we know that each year more than 100 millions people, 100 millions of animals are being used, including mice, rats, frogs, cats, rabbits, hamster, guinea pigs, and many more are killed in US. Animals are used in order to achieve some greater for their own business, guys. So they are just being treated nothing more than disposable laboratory equipment. Isn't that sad, people? Animal testing is cruel and inhumane. Let me repeat, cruel and inhumane, because they force feed the animals and then let them be food and water deprived, and then we put them to burn to see whether our product can help increase the study of the healing process. This shows that animal testing is cruel and will be not benefited to anything at all. What happened to the animals? We need to protect them. The animals are our stakeholder here. We should protect them, not use them. The proposal that I would like to suggest is we should replace, where possible, experiment using animals with alternative techniques. Why do I say that? There is a lot of other ways to have scientific research. Research with human volunteers, sophisticated computation methods, and in vitro studies, where we could use human cells or even plant cells. We know that we already have the technology. We already have cutting-edge non-animal research methods that are available, and it's shown time and again to be more accurate than crude animal experiment. It is more accurate to use non-animal research method. We should improve the things that we already have, such as the technology that I have stated before this. So for the burden of proof, we want the opposition to show us by using animal cannot bring more harm to them, and also how animal testing is more accurate than our proposal. Today, as the first speaker, I will be talking to you about the rights of the animal. Our second speaker will talking about better alternative methods. The second thing is he also gonna speak about the painful life of an animal before and after. And our last speaker of the day will rebut and sum up our team case. Moving on into the first argument. So when we are thinking about animals, we should then live. They have their own life we are talking about here. Why we as a human, we need to control them, to use them. Hence, I think the rights of animals, they deserve to live like us, human. We are having a better life. Why are we making them hard? Animals are very different from human beings. Therefore, they make poor test subject. It's shown the anatomic, metabolic, and cellular differences between animals and can make animals the poor model for human beings. We know animal is not the same as humans, but they have the same basic need as us. Why are we, as the human, should decide it for them? This is not fair. And they are completely different. And imagine if we do a testing on a rat and suddenly it is beneficial to the rat, but what happens if suddenly we put to the human and it's not the same? We want to make sure the rights of animals here are to be taken care of. We want them to be safe. And the impact of not using animal, we can ensure that the livelihood of the animals that are being used are gonna be fine. Yes, POI?
Do you comparing a bunch of cell in a lab and a monkey, which one is more similar to human?
I think yes, I do agree that a monkey is near human, but we shouldn't use them for our benefit. We have other computational method that I said just now. We can provide the simulation as a human can. Hence, that we do agree that animal scientific is okay, but it's not for the animals. We are protecting the animals here. And with that, I will conclude my speech by saying that we should protect the animals. They are our friend. And it's been stated that by killing or using them is not going to be beneficial to any scientific research. Yes, they will be benefited to the businesses, but what happened to the animals? We are taking care of them. We should know them. They have the basic need. They are like human like us. And I rest my case by saying that we should protect animals because animals are, we love us and we will love them. Thank you so much. I rest my case.
Thank you for that speech. To open the case from the opposition team, I call upon the leader of opposition to continue the debate season. Ready?
Can everybody hear me? All right, so I'll start my speech with that. So basically, what society government was trying to explain was that animals loved us and we love animals, all right? But they were inaccurate with the fact that testings upon animal does not help industries and scientific research, but in fact, it actually helps us understand animals as well as humans even better. Okay, so to give a better definition on our motion for today was about the video of Save Ralph. So the stakeholders involved in this motion for today is basically animals, humans, especially companies who are involved in animal testing. Okay, so I would go straight down to my point, which is that let's just say that we see a world where there was no animal testing, which side government agrees wholeheartedly that it should be done. That means all the scientific research we have done for over 100 years ago is all for nothing. It's all in vain. It's useless, and it was a waste of time for all the scientists back then. So basically, hundreds and hundreds of deaths of mice, of frogs, especially of maybe rabbits or any other animals, are considered invalid, obsolete, useless, all for scientific research that they say it's not important. But in fact, it actually is. It actually helps for us to understand animals as well as humans. So basically, if there is a world where animal testing does not exist, who are we going to test it on? Who is going to get involved? Who will get the full impact of health problems that animals have been having because of this testing? So basically, since we can't test on humans, we're going to be testing on since we won't be testing on animals, we're going to be testing on humans. So we have to realize that it is more unethical to do human trials straight away instead of animal trials, which at least we know at some point whether it is good for the animals or not. If it was bad for the animals, what say will it be any good or for us? Hence, we will not have it affected towards human beings. So, who will be chosen as animal testing? Who will be chosen as human testing? I'm sorry, so sorry. So, we have to realize that if you have human testing that involved in scientific research, you're going to have to choose humans who are willing to be involved in this. Humans who are desperate to get involved
POI,
in. Yes, POI?
we from the government side never even denies that there are goods, benefits of animal testing. What we are trying to say is that we have better methods instead of just using these kind of animals. Comment?
Yes, okay. You said there are better methods. What better methods are there? We still need proof. We still need practical testing. Like it or not, somebody has to be the lab rat, so to speak. So basically, my comment is this. If animals are not going to be tested, are we going to test it on plants? Plants grow a lot more slower. And I'm pretty sure plants and human genetics are not as similar as humans to animals genetics. All right. So thank you for your POI. So basically, humans who are desperate to be tested for this are humans who have no reason to live anymore, who are desperate to try to save their lives and the lives of their loved ones. For what? Just a small amount of cash for testing for this. So basically, people will have to pay humans to be tested. That might affect their health, their next generation health, and so on and so forth. This will create a chain reaction so big that some people can't even begin to comprehend. So I won't go into it since I myself can't comprehend, obviously. So not only humans, okay, so if there are humans who are not desperate, if everybody doesn't want to be tested, what's going to happen? It's going to be forced testing. Basically, what's happening in China is right now is that Sinovac vaccine has been tested on China by force. Citizens there have been forced to use the vaccine against their will, human testing. All right. So if animals are not going to get involved in this, humans have to go in. Humans have to show practical. They need to show proof. They need to show results on what is happening down here. We need to understand that all of this creates something even worse that we can't handle anymore. So at least with animals, their lifespan is short. At least we know that, and it's done. That's it. But humans, they're gonna live by average 70 to 80 years old. But they're gonna live a lifetime of that issue in hand. If they have any medical issues or have any mental issues because of testing. Because we did not test it on animals in the first place. So basically, yes, we need animal testing so that at least we know it is bad for animals, hence it is bad for humans, hence we will not have this bad effect, bad reaction, bad chain reaction to all our society and our community. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank the speaker for their speech. To continue our debate today, I call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case for their side.
It is very unfortunate that we live in a world where the opposition feels that using animals is better, that they want to harm those animals from living in a very harmonical life without even getting harmed. You know, they just want to harm even more animals just for the sake and the benefits of human. We totally disagree with the side opposition thinks. What we think is better is just to use humans, because in fact, if it's for the use of humans, we believe that it is better to use for humans because of the efficacy that comes with it and the result that comes with it as well. Now, before I talk about my debate today, I'm going to rebut a few things that comes from the side opposition. First, they're talking about that, by doing this testing or scientific research is going to help us understand animals and humans better. Yes, I do agree that it's going to help to understand humans and animals better. But if it comes to the extent that it's going to harm those animals, we totally disagree this from happening in the first place, because there are better way for you to do it rather than harming those animals. Let me put in context what my prime minister said to you for probably on cosmetical use or probably for greater use of humans in the first place, right? And then they simply say to us on the fact that human trials are also unethical. Let me put you in perspective. Any trials on human or animals is already unethical, but we believe that it is better to use it on humans. It is because it is going to be used for animals. Therefore, it is better to use it for animals rather than being used on. It is going to use for humans. It is better for it to be used on humans rather than animals. Now, and then they say that people who are going through these human trials are those who do not want to live their life, are those who are going through for. They are looking at the worst case scenario, like what we can see in Mexico right now. In terms of vaccine, what we can see in Malaysia itself, there are already volunteers for the function of vaccine, and they already proved that we are not forcing these people. In fact, we are asking for volunteers. This already disproves what the side opposition had said in the first place, right? And they simply said that animals' life is short. That is very unfortunate. Just to make that the side opposition think just because animals' life is short, it is better to do a scientific research for them. Now, I'm going to talk more about it in my arguments later on. Now, let's continue to my arguments where they've never really even touched on the stakeholder, the industry that comes with it, and that the morality of the humans itself doing scientific research on animals. Now, first, I'm going to talk about the better alternative method that be stated by my prime minister. Second, I'm going to talk about the painful life of the animals before scientific research and after scientific research. Now, first, I've talked to you about what my prime minister talked to you. What my prime minister talked to you, and that there are better ways such as cell culture, human trials, or computer and in vitro studies. That it doesn't necessarily mean on human trials, but that are also lab research that doesn't involve human trials in the first place, that can also be used for scientific research for any cosmetical products, or at the end of the day is going to be used for humans, because we believe that there are still better ways and alternative methods that is not going to harm the stakeholder on today's debate, which is the animals itself, which is side opposition doesn't even state to us. They don't even engage to our points by what my prime minister state to you, and that this better and alternative method is definitely not going to harm those animals, because they are not going to hurt those animals by doing this, by probably force feeding those animals just to see whether they are going to heal faster, or probably just going to hit those animals just to see hit those animals with products and chemicals that chemicals are not good basically for animals, just to see whether they are going to heal faster, and then just to see is there whether there are any adverse reaction. We believe that that is not good, because by using this alternative method, there are no by using probably like cell culture or in vitro studies, or probably human trials, that we are not touching the animal itself. Yes, I do agree that using human trials is unethical, but we believe, there are certain regulations that comes with it when choosing the human trials, that they need to understand, that that harms that comes with it, that they are going to be affected in what way, to what extent will they. We're not here to explain to you, because the company will later explain. Because if that person agrees on doing testing in the first place, meaning that they consent to idea that they are going to be harmed at the end of the day, right? So therefore, I'm just not going to go with that. I'm already explained to you that how they come with it. Now, second, I'm going to talk about the painful life of the animals after of scientific research, as what we what we understand in status quo right now. Maybe before I continue.
Yes. Okay. Earlier you did say that the efficiency for using methods such as hello, can you hear me? Hello.
I don't hear anyone. Maybe I'm lagging.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Is there
can you hear me?
anyone?
Hello.
So I'm just gonna go on with my debate. Okay. Now, second, on the painful life of the animals before and after. Now, as what we understand in status quo, as what we can see,
I think he's lagging.
Hello, Ifan?
Ifan, you good? He's already connecting. I think he's lagging. Alright, he's back. Ifan, are you okay, Ifan?
Ifan? Hello?
Okay.
So is the grace period are going to use now? Hello?
hello?
Hello, Ifan?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, we
Can
can
you guys
hear
hear me
you.
now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, I think my problem,
Yes.
my internet is kind of problem. Oh yeah,
I just
okay,
wanted to
let me
know.
go with the POI first.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, POI? You want to go with the
Yeah.
POI?
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So earlier you said that computer simulated models are more efficient than animal models, right? If you're telling me that, we've been using computer simulated models and calculations for the weather prediction for ages, for centuries, and until today we cannot get an accurate prediction. What tells me that you have any substantial proof that computer modeling for biological data is more accurate than just weather, where it's not even as detailed as biology?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Did you get my POI?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Ifan, can you just close your camera
Okay.
because of your lagging?
Yeah, close your camera.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
All right.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Clear? All right.
Yes.
So my POI is basically, since you say computer modeling and in vitro cell testing is more accurate, right? We've had computer models and as well as data collection from the weather for centuries right now, and we still cannot accurately predict the weather. How are you telling me that if we can't even predict the weather, that we can predict biological data, biological chemistry, biological reactions, which are far more complex in nature, more accurately than the weather? How are you going to give me that proof?
Look, first, by doing weather data or whatever you are trying to say, if it's not going to harm the people and if it's not proven to be good, I don't think it's actually beneficial at the end of the day. Plus, I don't think there is any correlation because doing data on weather is not going to harm any stakeholder, but in fact, doing scientific research on animals is going to harm the animals. Therefore, I don't think any correlation on that part. Now, let me continue with my second point, which is the painful life of the animals before and after the scientific research, right? I've talked to you first. As what we can know in status quo, right? Animals are being used, animals are being put in enclosed dark area, and that they are being caged for their entire life just to be used for scientific research. We believe that this is not okay because it's going to harm the life of the animals. Can you imagine having to live in a cage for your entire life? Which I think the side of opposition agrees. Hence why they believe that the animals should be and should live in this kind of situation, which the side government does not agree. The animals should never be live inside a cage for their whole entire life. Like even more towards going through towards going even more going through towards scientific research, right? Because if after they are being enclosed in this dark cage, probably their whole entire life, and the fact that they're being used for scientific research, and what happens after that scientific research, right? They've been put this and they've been force feed, they've been injected with chemicals only to see that they being amputated, that they have this adverse reaction which could potentially harm their life. If they die, that is very worse. If they do not die, if they do not die, they could be living in a situation where they do not even have eyes, they do not even have legs, with which at the end of the day will be euthanized, which I don't think that is okay because it's gonna harm those animals at the end of the day. Therefore, let me summarize a few things that I've already talked to you in the first place, right? My argument first is already talked to you on the fact that there are better alternative methods. Second, I've talked to you the painful life of the animals before and after scientific research. Hence, why the side government totally agrees that totally agrees that this motion should be passed. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for their remarks. Now, I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to continue the case for their side.
Okay, I will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I think the government team basically has a very poor idea on what drug testing is like. It is not just like, okay, we put it on some computer models or some cell in the lab or put it in some animals and then immediately you can put it to the market and let billions of people to use the drugs. It is not like this. So first of all, we don't reject that. Maybe you can use the computer models or some cell in the labs in the very first stage. But then that is just limited to the very first stage where testing is still not yet done. But then after you have do it, right? So you will go to the next stage, which is the animal testing. And this stage is very crucial before you put it into human, because what you do on computer or what you do on what you do on cell does not reflect what it will happen in the entire body system. Because you need to know what you do on lab, for example, like a piece of cell the effects of the medicine on the piece of cell might be different from the effect of medicine when you put on your body, because the chemicals of that drugs might go to other places in the body, for example, like other organs like liver and kidney, and causes other problems. It's not just like you hurt a cell and then you put some cream on it and then that's all. It's not like this. And therefore, animal is very important to test the effect before you put into human. So it is not like, okay, I like to do whatever experiment I can on the animal and just do whatever I like. It also has some regulation. You need permission from like federal drug agency, like Food and Drug Agency in US or some other agencies before you can do on animals. So the government team do agree that, okay, when we do on human, we can have regulations and that might be safe. So why can't we have the exactly same regulations on animal as well, and therefore that will be safe? So I don't think that what is the real difference from that. And I also realize that they are really flip-flocking on the issue, like whether we should do the trial on human. On one hand, they tell me that, oh, it is like very cruel on both sides. But then at the same time, they also tell me that, oh, why it is better to do on human than in animal. But I don't think that like we are opposing human research or computer research at all. We think that it should go on stages, and these stages cannot avoid animal research. Okay, and so what the alternative they tell us, like some lab cells or some stimulation, I don't think that it has been clearly told to us. I think that in a lot of cases, this does not really reflect the entire human body, because human body still have a lot of things that we cannot discover. For example, like the vaccine nowadays, for example, the Isec vaccine, when we test it on some samples, we don't know that it will cause a lot, like blood clotting in human body, for example. So that's why we need some tests on animal first to reduce the risk. Perhaps that we can already find this problem on animals, solve this problem before bringing it to human. So the next thing that they also tell us is that, we cannot say that all of these humans being tested are from the marginalized community. There might be some people volunteer, but actually, and they also say that this is the worst case scenario. But I want to tell you that this is not the worst case scenario, and the vaccine example that they use cannot be applied in most of the research nowadays, because most of the research that is done by the cosmetic company or the drug company is not like it's not like the vaccines. The COVID does not occur every day. And a lot of this medicine, like cosmetic stuff, right? No people actually want to let them to put some cream on your eyes for nothing, and then hurt by yourself. Who will accept this kind of research? Which type of human will accept this kind of research that hurt yourself? The only person that will accept this kind of research is those people who really, really need money from this research company. And who are them? They are those from the developing country like Bangladesh, or those from the marginalized community in the city, like those people who are really poor, who really need money. And these people would be the one who are hurt the most if they really ban the animal testing. And not to say, when you ban the animal testing, there will be more side effects that will occur in this human test population, because it has not been tested and filtered by the animals before that. So next, I would like to rebut and also sort of elaborate our point on the ideas that why human and the animal suffering might be so different. Is different, and why we should do it on animal first before doing it on human, and why we should follow the entire experimental protocol that we have now. So they tell us that animals have some pain, and after that they have pain, and then during the research they have pain. So this also applies to actually all test subjects, including human. So when you tell me that, it's very cruel to do hit the animals and then see how it recover, so isn't it also as cruel as it to do it on human? So I don't see any difference from that, because when you are not doing it on animal, you surely need to do something before you can market it out to the general population, right? So how are you going to do that? And yeah, we do agree that some animals might have some pain, might feel some suffering, but then, like what we said just now, we have quantified the suffering between human and animals. First of all, human is very long living. They can live for 70, 80 years, and the suffering will last for these 70, 80 years. Whereas animal is different. Animal just live for a few months for rats, or up to a few years for rabbits. And the suffering is just a few years versus a few decades. This is a very huge difference that shows that how our point actually outweighed their point. And not to say that if there is any serious problem that occur on animal, they can actually be euthanized. And euthanizing animal is quite simple and is legal in comparison to euthanizing in humans. So we understand that when somebody is in suffering or some animal is in suffering, we need to reduce the suffering of that people. And we understand that euthanize is one way, and we cannot do it on human due to the legal restriction. And so who is the best alternative? Of course it's animal. So, and we need to as a result of this, we need to realize that when you talk about suffering or cruel or inhumane, there's already a clear difference, and we think that we have already outweighed them in this point by giving you a very clear metrics on how human can actually suffer more compared to animal, and this type and the alternative that tell us like cell in lab or like stimulation that actually does not work in a very accurate manner. So with this, I rest my case. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for ladies and gentlemen and honorable educators. I shall now call upon the
Hello? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what have we learned today? We learned today that the opposition side today believes that it is okay for us to play God. It is okay for us to basically values life, basically just telling us, oh, this is okay, instead of doing this. We could just basically see that the government opposition side today is very problematic, thinking that this certain kind of life is matter more than this certain kind of life. So right now, what we are talking about, we from the government side believe that consent is a very important thing for us humans to consider, because we have the brains to think, and we are the ones who are in control because of this kind of animals. And we believe that these kind of animals deserve to live and not just basically just live for us to die. Before I start for today, I will divide my way to two. First, I will stand for our case on the government side, and second, I will rebut every single thing from the opposition side. All right. So moving on to the government side, we are moving on to the government side, we are talking about how this kind of act is actually inhuman and stuff like that. We are talking about how these kind of animals are being food and water deprived. We are talking about how these kind of animals are being treated so badly. And you could say that yes, they are basically licensed and stuff like that, but that doesn't deny that these kind of animals are dying. We have statistics. We have proof that these kind of animals are being dying for hundreds and hundreds of years. There are hundreds, millions of animals are dying every single day. We could see that this kind of statistics basically it doesn't decrease; it's just increasing daily and daily and daily. We could see that this kind of problems has been for so long that we should come for a resolution to solve these kind of problems. These are what the government side are trying to prove today, that there are more and better way for us to solve this kind of animal testing. And the opposition side keeps saying that that the animal testing itself is a stage, or at least is a process for basically for medicines and stuff like that. Yes, we agree that it is a stage. The problem is right now, the government side today, we are coming out for a solution for us to replace those animal testings. Yes, those kind of animal testing will have failures and stuff like that, and maybe this kind of things are being failed and stuff like that on or machines and stuff like that. But that is the main purpose. We want to test those products, those basically medicines and stuff like that until we succeed. Yes, we already have facts. We already have statistics from those hundreds and hundreds of years of animal testing. We could use those and improve our machines. What we are saying right now, that we have the machine, we already have the future. Why not we improve and basically just taking care of everyone's life? We believe that these kind of things should be put in matter. We believe that these kind of things should be important for everyone to see that. We already have those kind of statistics, we already have the facts, we already have a lot of results, and we believe that by using these kind of statistics and by using these kind of facts, we could just basically improve our machines daily and daily. Yes, we don't deny that there will be problems, there will be issues in our machines and stuff like that, but that is the way we improve, that is the way we improvise, that is the way we basically just leaping towards the future, not just basically just for example, they are saying like these kind of animals are being tested and basically they are dying the normal way, maybe the least pain way. But that is also the problem. The problem with the opposition side today is that they don't even care about these kind of animals. Yes, they are dying. Imagine if I put you in their shoes. Imagine if some days your animal are being kidnapped and just basically being drug tested and stuff like that. How would you feel? How would you feel if you suddenly these kind of animals just die in front of it and you cannot do anything? Because these are the kind of things that we are going to take care of. This kind of these animals, they have feelings, they have things, they have basic needs. They are living, they are breathing the same way as we are breathing right now. What happened if you were in that place? What happened? What would you think? Yes, we understand that this is for the betterment of human, but we are saying right now that is there are better and better options for us to replace this kind of animal testing. All right, so moving on to the opposition side. And they are talking about how these kind of animals will die in vain in case we just replace this animal testing, and they are talking about how human testing are just basically creating this kind of chain reaction and stuff like that. This is what I don't understand from the opposition side. They are basically just making assumptions and assumptions and assumptions, and at the end of the day, we cannot see any result from the opposition side. We from the government side, we already show you that how we already have the facts, we already have a lot of things that has the outcomes of these animal testings, and we are using it for a better future, for basically just improving ourselves daily. So this is the kind of things that the government side really taking care of, the lives of these living things that are living a part of the world. All right, so basically what the opposition side are talking about, the chain reaction and everything else, is just basically just mere assumption, and it doesn't have any fact to back it up. All right, so moving on to the second point for the opposite side for today, we are talking about how this kind of text doesn't need to harm humans itself and stuff like that. Yes, we understand that human testing there will be an issue in human testing. We already said that this kind of human testings, we must provide regulations, we must provide a lot of security and stuff like that to ensure that these humans are capable of getting tested, are capable of the genetics and stuff like that, should be tested or not. We also have basically what we are saying, that these kind of humans, they already been tested and they have consent towards it. The consent is what we are trying to basically show to you, that these kind of animals, they don't have the way, they can't think as we think right now. Yes, go on.
Okay, earlier you had mentioned that we have no proof that animal testing works, but I have to ask you, we are making assumptions. You say that, but your arguments are all based on assumptions. So whereas we have the proof that all this medical research that we have done, all the medicines we have today, most of it has been done through animal testing, and that is why we have saved so many lives today because of them. How are you going to say that we have no proof?
What I'm saying is that you must understand, we from the government side, we never ever deny that these animal testings have the good effects and stuff like that. We never deny that. What we are saying, that the problem is the animal testing itself. We are torturing these animals. We are killing them just basically for our needs. For what? For makeup and stuff like that. That's kind of things are not important for us humans and stuff like that. We believe that they are for you to have a goal or something like that, to create medicals and stuff like that. We could have a better resolution, because we as human, we could think for this kind of animals. We could think for a better future. We could think of making a renovation and stuff like that. We could make machines that could do those kind of foods. So we have the brain to do that, and we believe that we should do that. That is the things that we are talking about. We never deny that this kind of animal testing would have good effects and stuff like that. We are saying that we should replace it because we are evolving. We have better equipments, which I'll a little bit more on. So we could talk about how these kind of humans will need regulations, stuff like that, in case they want to be human tests and stuff like that. And we also talk about how these kind of tests could be run on plants and human cells and stuff like that. And we understand that maybe these kind of things won't basically just have an accurate result and stuff like that. But that is also same goes to the opposite side today. Those kind of things, basically, if you're having an error in basically just doing these testings on human cells and plant cells, at the end of the day, those plant and the human cells will die. But what happens if you do these kind of things to animals? Basically, they will just die, and the numbers will keep increasing and increasing. And this is what we want to avoid from the government side. We want to avoid these days. All right. So basically, what is the sum up of our debate today? We from the government side, what we are trying to show you, what we are trying to bring to the table, is a new way for us to save these animals. It's a new way for us to evolve, to basically just count everything important. We want to show you that it is not okay for us to play God. It is not okay for us to just toying with this animal's life and stuff like that. It is not okay for us just to use this animal without their consent, to kill them, to torture them every single day, and the number keep increasing daily and daily. This is what we don't want, and this is what we want to avoid. All right. So basically, this house regrets the use of animals in scientific research. And by that, I rest my case here. Thank you.
I would like to thank this for the speech. Is it now time to listen to rebuttals opposition? Please.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
All right. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, one. Okay, so we have seen side opposition's arguments that we can have a better way of handling our tests without animals, without animal cruelty, without using lab rats. And I agree that we have better ways and we should employ better ways. We should do things in a more evolved way, in a more evolved manner. That is all fantastic and true. And I agree 100%. And that is something that we already do today. We are employing it today. The thing is, we still cannot negate the step, as what my second speaker has told. We cannot negate the step of animal testing because it still can cause unpredicted adverse effects, and for that we still need to test it on them, something computers, something our in vitro models cannot predict, cannot calculate, cannot give us the substantial result. Are we going to renegate those benefits and go straight to human testing? If we go straight to human testing without that, we are going to put suffering on the human. Are you going to tell me the suffering of the human is more comparable to is less comparable to the suffering of animal? If you're going to take that stance, then let's be honest. The animals that are going through the main testing, the early stages of testing, the most vulnerable cases, those are animals with smaller developed brains. In that case, they don't have the emotional capacity to handle this. As my first speaker has already said, the suffering of these animals are less compared to them, not just because of their age, but also the mental capacity. They are unable to feel the emotions of pain, of emotions of suffering as we do. Instead, they are responding to mere stimuli. That is all we're recording. Of course, it is still painful. It is still detestable. I do agree, but this is still a crucial step in ensuring the greater good so that more people do not suffer. Whereas a human life that lasts longer is not able to suffer through the adverse effects of testing as much as a mere animal that doesn't have such a long time to live and can be euthanized to reduce its suffering. Also, to boot, we can check for generational effects with them. So I see there is so many benefits to it that we will lose, and we can't even have the foresight with just computer analysis. We will be making a mistake. Imagine using radioactive material in medicine and we didn't have animal testing, we wouldn't know that thing stems from generation to generation. We wouldn't know. And that would cause huge problems. It would become worse than the COVID-19 pandemic today because medicine administered with it would be disastrous because we didn't have this testing. So I do not see your case how this is more effective because animals are the real biology. They are the real nature which can be used to reference the human framework. So that is unsubstantial proof, in my opinion. I do not see where is your proof why computer science is computer modeling is way better than the actual nature's model. All right. Also, I noticed there is a few points of clashes. Earlier you said, and I do believe the use of human gives more accurate result, and I believe I have already clarified that well enough because the more accurate result, yes, but the suffering that comes with it, are you going to negate it? Is that really what you're going to say? Human suffering is one. And you guys going to willingly say because they are willing participants? Yes, they may be willing participants, but they may have been coerced by it. Multinational companies that actually conduct these tests do not care about you. They may use methods to coerce you. They may find the most struggling people, like in the third world countries, the poorest people who have no choice, who are desperate. These people are going to be the ones and so on. I'm just expanding my point from first speaker of the human suffering element, as well as the fact that this is still more inhumane than the fact that if you were to go and just animal test it, because at least the animal suffers less than the human. All right. Of course, the opposition did mention that we play God multiple times, and to say we play God is I do not agree 100%. Although I can understand where they come from, I do not agree 100% because we value human life more than animal life because of the reasons I have said aforementioned earlier. The brain capacity of animals are lower than human. The ability for them to perceive pain is less than us. The suffering that they perceive may not be as substantial as human. That is very clear because we are able to express it more and we are able to show it in other ways. Animals don't always have this. They mainly respond to stimuli. As well as, let's go into the point where earlier you said, earlier I had said I had given a POI to Deputy Prime Minister or Prime Minister or opposition, side government, and they had said that they had disregarded my question and they didn't explain it properly because they said that whereas my computer said the accuracy of computer is not accurate, and I can base this off an example of weather stations. If the weather station computers, which we've been working on for generations and decades, has not actually improved accuracy, how are you going to say that the computer science is going to be 100% accurate in the future? We've been going at the weather for so many decades, and we still can't get an accurate 100% accurate reading. So we still require that animal testing to make sure we reduce the risk as minimum as possible. So in that case, animal testing is still needed. Although the suffering is that we can mitigate it, as my second speaker already said, we have ways to mitigate it. We have regulations in place. We can improve on those regulations to reduce the suffering. We are also there are also steps in pre-lab testing to make sure the procedure is as less adverse effect, as negative, it will have less adverse effect compared to the procedure if administered without it. So I do see that there are already benefits in place. So I don't see why this is not why it's so cruel, because we've already reduced the cruel, and we will keep reducing the cruelty as we go on, as we progress. But it is still an important thing, I do believe. I would like to end my point by saying side opposition, as a side government, has made it clear that they want the human to suffer more than the animal. But I see it as a win where the human suffers, where the human is suffering is more painful than the animal suffering, because the human suffering will not limit to just one person. Because if this trend continues, more and more people will end up being used as lab rats, and more people will end up suffering, and this will create a class division eventually. Are you seriously trying to create a new racial divide between lab rat humans and non-lab rat humans? I say no. Human lives are more superior, but animals are still the same. We should just mitigate the risk, but we cannot disregard the fact that lab rats are important. Thank you very much.
Now that we have heard all the three speakers from both teams, we shall take a short break of 1 minute. During this time, both the government and the opposition teams may prepare the reply speech. The time of 1 minute has ended. I shall now invite the opposition leader or second speaker from the opposition team to deliver the reply speech.
Okay, hello. So I will start now. for my reply speech. Okay, so I think by right, this debate is about whether we should skip the process of animal testing and directly go to the human testing part. But I found out that the government team is actually very unclear about this whole process and they misunderstand the entire debate. So what I hear from them is something like, okay, we should skip everything, including the human stuff, and then we just use some computer simulations and some lab stuff, to do the entire experiment, and then directly market the drugs to human and lets us to try whether the drug is safe or not. And in a lot of cases, it might be unsafe. So I think that first of all, they are already very unclear about the process, and especially the third speaker, he tell us about like how we kidnap some pets or do some very cruel things. So okay, they really misunderstood about it. We are still in line of all regulations by the FDA or whatever relevant agencies, that we are still doing it in a very ethical way. So this means that whatever point of them about accuracy of animals versus accuracy of lab cells or versus accuracy of human is actually irrelevant, because what we are trying to propose in this debate is that we should follow the original protocol, which is from the lab to the animal and then to the human. And they did not really make any rebuttals on this, but then they just keep on tell us about how lab computer is relevant. Yes, it is relevant in the first stage, but not later. Okay. And then the next clash is about whether about like some pain and suffering on humans and animals. So regarding this, let me summarize our point first. So first of all, we have tell you that how the idea of like skipping animals can actually bring more risk to the human subjects in the next process. And secondly, we tell you that humans live longer than animals, therefore any mistake, human will suffer longer than animals. And thirdly, we tell you that human cannot be euthanized to reduce their suffering as you like, whereas animals, you can do that. And what their replies is that, animals are dying in a much larger way, in a very cruel ways. Yes, some animals die. We do not deny in this world. And why they die is because the drugs are in the process of researching, and they need animal to be tested first before tested on human, and the drug is malfunctioning. That's why animal die. And if you directly test on human are the ones who are going to die, my dear. So you think that this is like, so we think that they didn't really go in depth about this, and I think that like human versus animal in this case, human, no matter like who has a greater right or like who help each other, we can measure in a very clear metrics, which is like who live longer and who suffer more. And clearly human is the one, and therefore we should not skip the step of researching on human before in the animal. And the next clash is about human consent and whether or not humans have the consent when they are being tested as some in a new drugs. So actually, we already tell you before that even in our first speaker and our second speaker speech that those committee who are like being brought to lab testing are basically those who are forced to, like, they are the ones who are in poverty, they need money, and that's why they will accept such risky thing, like such risky thing that, like animals die, why humans should want to do it? They are not the rich people who volunteer. They are those people who are in a developing country, like how companies do such research on Bangladesh. And that's why the thing that come in the government side at the end, which is like human has some consent and something like this, I don't think that it actually makes sense. And we actually make a pre-end rebuttal about that, which is that they actually don't have consent and they are forced to do so due to poverty, and they do not really reply on this. And therefore, with this, I believe that actually we actually outweigh the other team. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. I shall now call upon the Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister from the government team to deliver their reply speech. Please.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I won't be opening my camera due to internet connection problems. Okay. 1, 2, 3. This is why the side opposition stays opposition. They will never become the government if they still stay with this case. that they still think but using animals is the only and only way for them to do scientific research, when we already state to you that there are better and alternative methods such as cell culture, human trials, and computer or individual studies. And we do not say that the human trials are the only and solely other alternative method here. We already proved to you and we already talked to you from the Prime Minister, from the Deputy Prime Minister, and also the government whip, prove to you that why our side wins. Now, what am I going to talk in my reply speech? I'm going to talk about three things. First, on long-term versus short-term. Second, I'm going to talk about impact. Third, I'm going to talk about best case scenario in which side is actually better to cover the problems in the first place. Now, let's see towards the long-term versus short-term effect, right? So we would like to say to you, the side government wins because we prove to you, why by not using animals, there are still better and alternative methods for you to do scientific research in the first place. There are still company, and in the status quo itself, there are companies that have not even used animals in the first place for them to do scientific research. So the side opposition never really proved to us what is there the dire needs of animals in the first place for them to do scientific research, as if there are no biological methods and alternatives that are better and harmful at the end of the day, right? So long-term effect, we tell you that the government is better if this motion passes. Is because why? Because the animals will no longer have to live in suffer, and because that no animals will live in some suffer, and that no animals will have to even be in the side of in this kind of industry where it exploits the rights of animals in the first place. Now, rather than the short-term effect and benefit that goes for the side opposition, right? Now let's go towards the impact if this motion passes. We tell you the impact that goes towards the motion passes is that the notion that it gives, that the notion that, you can actually do better research and clinical trial rather than actually hurting animals. Children will never have to live to see this dark web video which they see animals are being hurted, in which side opposition agrees, and they will rather let those children see. This is why we decide government wants to win, and why the proposed motion today should pass in the first place. Now let's look towards the best case scenario, right? Which side is better and the problems that it gives, right? We believe that the side government is better because the main problem here, they are unable to do scientific research because there are no animals. Look, we tell you that there are alternative methods and that human trials are not the sole method. Yes, if you want to say that the humans are going to be affected even more, there are still other trials that are not that doesn't have to involve humans in the first place that can still be done. Therefore, you prove to you why the side government wins. Now, let me talk to you and summarize to you the points that have been said by the side government. First, we talk to you on the animal rights not to be hurted and harmed by this motion. Second, we talk to you on the painful life of the animals. Third, we talk about better alternative methods. Hence, this is why the side government wins today's debate, and this is why the side governments believe that this motion should pass at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now come to the end of debate. They remain in this room while waiting for educators to make a decision. Educators are reminded to move to the educators discussion room in the Cisco WebEx via the link provided. I will give some time to educators to.
Sorry, can you repeat? You're lagging just.
Debaters are asked to remain in this room while waiting for the adjudicators to make a decision. adjudicators are reminded to move to the adjudicators discussion room in the Cisco WebEx via the link provided. So all of you need to remain here, and educators will count your marks and come to this stream.
Why am I backstage? Yo, Japan. So guys, how you guys been? All okay? Good night. Makan ready?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Serious lah. You did
Yes.
a whole debate without eating ah. You okay
Of
bro?
course. Nervous lah. How can eat? Later puke. How?
I say like that means susah lah. That's why. Like that, if I like you means I confirm cannot think anything. You know, I will be thinking of food only. You would tell me animal, I'll be like, sedap. Okay, that was bad.
No, please, no, bad.
No, I mean I'm
bad,
talking
bad.
about like farm animals, huh? Oh, I just forgot. We didn't mention the farm animal thing.
Really? Oh my gosh. No.
Okay, at the end of the day, we all
Tomorrow.
had fun. That's what matters the most. lah.
Yeah, we
That's
had
fine.
fun lah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was
I
fine.
think
It
we all
was
had
fine.
fun. I think we all had fun.
Uh,
Besides my internet issue, I mean, yeah.
Yeah lah. I see that one a bit sad lah. The
Oh my god.
It's okay. It's
It
okay.
was like a 10-minute delay just for this guy. Oh.
Kan? Damn.
Thank God there is a grace period, you know.
I hope it was
Yeah.
worth it.
I hope yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was trolling us, saying he can't hear the
Is this your
POI.
guys'
I
first
thought he was
time?
That's
actually
what I
trolling all
thought
of
the
us.
same.
Like,
I thought the same. I was like,
Yes.
oh, is this a technique? Wait, what?
high level.
It's not like 10,000 IQ gameplay lah.
Yes.
High level strat, you know. High level
High level
strat.
strat.
Psycho to the extreme.
Aiyo.
Is this like your guys' first time or like you guys have experience before?
Definitely not lah.
Definitely not see.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Can see from your speed and all.
I think you guys are.
You're like experts lah.
No.
See?
It's like first time, second
Yeah,
time,
like,
second time.
No.
No lah,
He
first
just
time.
got
lah.
this again.
I think we are the same lah, Maria. We are not that. They all pro already, I think.
The only pro here, man, is like
I'm
that
not
guy.
sure.
up
Yeah,
here.
actually, I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Only second guy there.
Yeah, that guy a bit pro lah. I think
Yeah.
even I would be scared. Holy
Wait,
hell.
Chunket's here, right? Chunket's here. Chunket's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. He's up here.
I think the live is still broadcasting. Lol.
I
Yeah,
know
it
it's fine. Hi everybody in the
Yeah,
comment
we know that it's
section. How you guys
broadcasting.
doing?
Let them see us
Hi.
make friends, you know?
If you guys can see, comment something.
Hello.
I know. Hey, you know what?
Become YouTuber.
Okay, guys, I still don't know what's your name because I can't see your name
Who do you
tags
guys think?
under like each other.
Who is who
Who
actually?
is who? Yeah. Okay, who's the red shirt guy with the nice frizzy hair?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah, what's your name?
You can call me Haziq lah.
Haziq. Okay. Guys, in the comment section, who thinks Haziq is hot? Raise your hand. Give a like, one thumbs up.
No.
Come on.
Hey, don't play me like this lah.
Well, our side already agrees that you look cute, so
Hey, of course.
and see all the supporters at the back there. Look at that.
Bruh. But okay, guys, don't forget, somebody else dressed very smart in black, hair all damn neat, like professional as hell. So here, don't forget the guy here. Oh, yeah, see lah. Okay. Comment section, please.
No, it was
What is your
like-
vote?
What we should wear, and then I was like, okay, just wear baju Melayu lah. Make everyone wear the same thing. So,
That's why all came in like
Melayu lah.
prepared and all. Oh.
Yeah, I'm here with the
Should
t-shirt.
advise to wear
this is just for the
pajamas.
first day lah. We'll see for tomorrow lah.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow cannot lah. Tomorrow gonna be super hot, you know. Cannot lah.
Yeah, and tomorrow
It'll be
must
like
wake up 7,
4
man. Like, God,
We can't leave.
who's gonna wake up?
It's gonna be so tight.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Can we request from the organizers to
Oh
like,
my god, you can
really-
see comment section. Hinwei, hi. Okay, Hinwei is our senior, by the way. So this is from UPM.
Where?
Oh my gosh, we love you.
The comment
Love you, Hinwei. There,
Yo,
it's coming up on
Hinwei.
the screen. Can you see the screen? What where Hinwei low? Joshua also.
Oh, it's coming on the screen. Oh my God, I just realized. See us.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Hinwei again.
Oh, that's
Hey, this
Hello.
is Hinwei again.
Oh, that's from
Who is this MD lah?
Who's Andy? You guys.
I also don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
No, but thank you for the comment. We really
Yeah.
enjoyed the comment.
So Haziq was
See?
God
really
damn.
cool. Way.
Yes.
Way.
Haziq was cute.
Don't blush
Okay.
me up lah.
That's what I'm saying.
Told you, our side supports you. Supports you, man.
Can you guys post so I could just take a picture?
Oh yeah. Wait, I think there's somebody who left earlier.
One,
Oh.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to do the same. Give me a second or so. So keep the post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, where is your one going? Instagram or story or what?
Who knows?
Who knows?
There
Okay,
you go. Settled.
this is my move. There you go.
Too late.
Didn't take pictures.
Too late. It's called print screen.
Sing a song.
Mac user.
Thanks, MD. Who is this MD
Quite-
guy?
Who's this MD guy? Oh my god, so many
Yeah,
comments.
I'm really
All the
curious.
comments are beautiful. Oh my gosh,
Nice.
thank you.
Thanks MD for all your
MD.
compliments.
Dude,
Thank you.
nice.
I know, right?
Do
Oh my
that.
gosh.
Nice. Adam, let's go. Okay, that's coming. Wait lah. Comment.
Nazreel. Oh my god, Nazreel's comment was seriously powerful. He went on commenting UniKL spamming in the chat section. That was amazing. Seriously. Support. Good support from UniKL. Seriously. I salute that.
Yeah, I think
Fatima-
I saw a lot of UPM supporter also.
UPM go hard.
But they let
both-
the children lose it. Oh my god.
Is everyone lagging or is it just me?
You're
Uh,
fine,
I think it's you.
I think it's you, Matt. I'm sorry about that. I think it's you, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Afiq, woo. Afiq, no.
Bro, I got an idea. You should try joining the YouTube one on your phone so you can hear.
Cringe.
Using 10,000 IQ play. Okay, come on. The world's gonna roll me. Who's
Oh
roll?
my-
What's roll?
After
Seriously?
debate concert sounds dope.
Concert.
Look, we
Concert
have
sounds good.
22 viewers.
Nazreel is the best. Yes, he is.
You.
Yes, he is Nazreel.
Dude made a plug for himself. Oh yeah. I like your confidence, man.
Hey, we're the only room that has 25 people watching, you know. All of them
Serious?
have less than
Of course,
all of them
we
have
are
less than
we are
10.
Of
popular.
course lah.
Ini UniKL ni. This is UniKL represent. See?
See,
We have
Like that.
UPM stars right here.
I think your UPM supporters is a lot here.
No, we're
Can
just
you
very
see
good
from the
spammers.
comment?
UPM stars over
We're
here.
just very good spammers.
We have 3 of the best
Yeah.
UPM stars.
There's got like few people, but they spam like hell, man.
Yeah, we're very good spammers.
Azim hashtags you. Why are you guys making me blush a lot?
Hey, I think
Oh,
Haziq
yo.
Oh, after this I must turn off my camera lah.
I say. I mean,
Hey,
if you got
guys.
girlfriend, then she'll get jealous lah. Yeah, lah, true. So.
Are you guys at the campus or what? Or the hostel what?
I mean, kinda.
Oh yeah, I think
This
Okay,
this
yeah.
curtain, man.
Campus.
Yeah, campus.
good
lah.
luck with your life.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great.
Haziq and Shen look like twins.
Ooh.
Yes.
Dude, you're
curls,
basically
man.
comparing our hair. Exactly, I knew it.
What?
He was going to say
Wait.
The hair color
Wait,
is
you
different.
What did you say, Juliet?
No, the hair color is different. They are quite different. I just want to
that.
say.
Exactly. This is like pure black. Come on. Pure black.
I was pure
That guy
black.
has like a nice. Hey, you colored your hair. I can see it clearly. It's colored, man. It has a very nice
Yeah,
tinge
I
of
was
a reddish
black.
brown. It's very nice.
I think it's because of the color of the light, you know.
Oh yeah, could be also. Actually.
Ah,
Could
yeah.
be good lighting also, yeah.
Nah, I colored my hair.
Much
Like,
of
it was black, and then I colored it blonde. Now it's just light brown.
Oh, okay. It's still a nice color. Not bad.
Actually, very
Not bad.
pretty, yeah.
Yeah, still a nice color.
So Joshua wrote a bit too much, Shanaf. Yes, Shanaf a bit too much. Yes.
Too much. What did Chanaf say? Huh? Oh yeah.
Shanaf said that you two look like twins. Oh my gosh,
Shanaf,
look at
man.
the comment section. Nice. Hey, by
Chanaf
the way, what's
Daniel.
your name, huh? Wait, who is Irfan and Adam?
I'm Adam.
Black
Okay.
is Adam, grey is Irfan. Okay. Shanaf Daniel, exactly. Okay.
Who is this MD fella? I'm very curious.
So curious.
Right, like,
Same.
Do
bro,
we know
like,
him? Her? Do they know him? Her? Like,
where is
I'm
he
not
from?
sure if it's from your section, like your from UniKL or UPM. I can't tell.
Tanya semua anda terbaik dari Azhar UniKL MSI. Thanks Azhar UniKL MSI.
Thanks, Azhar,
Woo!
Azhar.
See?
My,
Your uni also got representative. Nice, good.
See,
Actually, where is MSI? Where am I dumb?
no, what MSI?
MSI tu dekat Kedah.
And MIDI?
Yeah.
Midi Insurance.
Oh,
Ooh, wow. Okay, that's far.
wait.
So we're from different places lah. It's pretty far lah.
So do you guys actually know each other before this or anything?
Nope.
Nice.
Not bad.
Good lah.
Not bad.
We just
Because Because Haziq's glue us all.
Haziq glued you together.
Eh.
Nice.
Good. Good. We need the glue in all teams. That's just how it's gonna work.
Yes,
Yes.
I mean, I agree, I agree, lah. No, I repeat
RDS.
your point.
Look at the comment section right now, lah. You see this RDS person?
And they don't stop coming.
They don't stop coming. And I hit the ground running. Run,
Mhm.
run.
Pretty laggy. I don't know, the comments keep coming in, and also my connection is pretty bad.
So can you actually see the comments or not? Like,
It is very sluggish lah.
Oh, it's laggish, lah. I mean, never mind. They still come on the screen, lah, after a while.
asalkan boleh, tak apa. Boleh nampak, can see, can hear, tak apa. Support
Okay,
je.
yeah. See, lah.
Room 8 still haven't finished yet. I think we're gonna have to wait for them to. I don't know.
True.
Room 8 is still debating.
Oh,
Room what?
Room 8 is still debating.
Room 8. Oh, must be pretty intense.
I think because they are following the clock on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically,
I think the clock on screen was quite late.
I was so
That- that-
confused at my first speak, right? I was like, okay, my time, my phone is like 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and suddenly at the screen is like 3 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? I just ended.
Oh,
Adam, when you were
Okay, that's what I was
speaking and the timer said 3 minutes, I was like, wait, what?
yeah. That's
Yeah,
I'm so
that's why I
Why
was
was
like-
it only 3 minutes?
I was just so confused.
it was
That's why I was
confusing.
They don't hear me or what?
Okay, wait. The edge are speaking. Okay, wait.
Hello?
I'm
Hello,
gonna
can you
turn off
guys
my
hear me?
camera because it's very laggy.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can.
Okay,
Alright.
Ame. Okay.
Okay, very sorry for the delay. Alright. So guys, so the way I will do the feedbacks, I will first actually give the result, and later on I will give the general feedbacks. And then since it's quite late, so do you guys need like individual feedback? Person to person feedback, do you guys need it?
I think yes.
Yeah, I think I would like it.
So,
I would like it.
Yes,
Alright,
that
sure.
would be
So-
better.
since we're already quite late, so I will just go straight forward to the decision. So first of all, congratulations for both sides. You guys did really well in explaining in bringing this motion and try to embark against these competitions. So there's a win and a lose. But what I would like to say is that it's a very close debate. With a very small margin. It's just a margin by one. So from my decision and with my training educators, we decided to give the wins to the opposition side, UPM Putra, right? So congratulations to UPM Putra. So here I will give the feedbacks on why actually I give the such judgments to the such decision. So first, on both sides, you guys are the debates looks like animals versus humans. Like you guys did try to bring the different stakeholders into the picture, which are like the humans, animals, and also the companies. But the thing is, if you guys look into your arguments, okay, for example, for the government sides, your arguments are more likely to focus more on animals instead of try to focus on also try to protect other stakeholders. Or what I'm trying to say here is that okay, in your side, you are able to fully protect the animals because they are not being tested. But the thing is, with humans, there are a lot of possibilities that these people will be endangered. There are a lot of possible things that they will be tested and they will get certain side effects that the opposition side has been proven throughout the debates. But on the other side, on the opposition side, what they're trying to do here, even though they're not able to protect all the stakeholders in a very good manner, but at least at certain point of the debates, they're able to protect at the minimum value, at the bare values of the competition of this debate, which are at least for the animals, even though we will still kill them, at least we're going to put some regulation to ensure that these animals are not going to be killed mercilessly, and also to make sure that there is not a large amount of animals to be killed. So, and for the human itself, they've been said that okay, by having animals as the layer of the
as one of layers of the testing, so we're able to minimize the risk of the complications towards the human itself. So these the things that makes both sides which means things that okay, opposition should win this debate, because who is better in protecting stakeholders in this debate, which are the government side, which is the opposition side. And then I also take a look on the worst case scenarios on both parties. So for the government parts, the worst case scenarios that happens in your debate is that if your computers evaluations, the in vitros and human trials fails, means there is a lot of complications that might happen in the futures. So and then there's no way for you to mitigate that at all, because the opposition salary says that okay, your computer activities, the computer's evaluations have been usage in other fields, and it still fails to actually to give a perfect situation, almost perfect like it an almost perfect solution to such problem like such a weather. So when these kind of things happen, it's a very when for a medical field, it's really important for you to actually have an almost perfect situation to ensure that the human beings are being protected. But on the other parties, their worst case scenarios are more animals to death, and but at least humans are protected. So, but again, it's not. I'm trying to say that humans are not important here. But I'm trying to say is that which parties are able to actually protect both sides. So, and then what I actually, if I may highlight some of the points given, which is I think could actually give a better position for the government side, which is coming from the third speaker. If I may recall what the third speaker say, the third speaker talked about the long-term research material. The long-term research materials wasn't being rebutted at all by the third speaker of the opposition. But the thing is, because it's come very too late in this debate. So if these matters come quite early, let's say in the second speaker or the first speaker, like even if you can explain what are the benefit that you can actually receive from the long-term research, and how you can actually utilize the long-term research, and why this long-term research can actually prevent us or minimize the usage of animals in the testing. So if you can actually prove this matter a lot in the future, you can actually prove this throughout the debate, I would say I would give the wins to the governments. But the thing is, such things doesn't happen in this debate. So, and on the other side, the biggest precious points on this debate is about on the concern point. Again, I will give credit to the third speaker of the governments when they're trying to say that okay, the lost elements in these debates are about the elements of concern, because there is no way for these elements to give concern, and humans, they can actually give concern. So by having concern, we actually know whether they're willing to take the test or not. But for animals, we don't know. We just simply torture them. So that actually is a very good point. But the thing is, again, it's coming very late, because the second speaker of the opposition already said that okay, the second speaker and also the first speaker, he already says that we already have some certain marginalized groups, such as in Bangladesh, people are in poor, people who are desperate. So they might not consent to this matter. But the thing is, they need money. They are being forced by those peoples. So yeah, there might be some sort of regulation to regulate all these matters. But the thing is, such circumstances that happens in their circumstances let them to actually simply take the test, and at the end of the day endanger themselves. So at the end of the day, the regulation will not be the regulation will be really useless in the human scenario. And the thing is that if I would like to, the last thing that I would highlight from the government side is that like both sides will highlight, because you guys talk about three stakeholders, right? Which is the the animals, humans, and corporate. But the thing is, I don't hear anything on corporate stakeholders, on how you guys can actually protect these corporate activities. Like how, let's say you stop from using this animal, right? So how these corporate activities, corporate business entity were actually able to get back into their business, how they actually can improve their reputation in the health community and whatsoever, how they actually can gain this kind of reputation. So same goes for the opposition. You guys didn't mention anything about the corporate activity. The only things that I would say that you guys mentioned, I would say is slightly related, is on about the like business which is not in medical, such as the cosmetic and whatsoever. So when we actually not having animal testing, so there is no humans actually wanted to have some cosmetic products simply be put onto them. So that's a very slight touch on this matter. So I will give credit, but very small credits on this matter. So with that being said, I would say that's the reason why I actually give the judge the right decision to give the wins to the opposition side. So, but before I go to the person to person feedback, like maybe Shazwan can actually gives his perspective on this matter.
Okay, I think the debate has a few problems to begin with. Number one, I think there's a lack of characterization coming from both teams. Under side government, you need to illustrate to us, to the whole room, how does the animal testing works. Because if you understand, like in the short film of Safe Rough, it is somehow over dramatized for the effects of movie and controversies. Some animal testing only put certain makeups, or some companies do animal testing like by injecting some drugs. There are different forms of animal testing that are happening under current status quo. You need to clarify that, and then you give out some alternative. When you give out some alternative, you need to explain to the house why that particular alternative could replace this important step that the opposition have said so. Because when you don't explain to us that why somehow this step is, let's say, very important or could replace a very important step in the on how the process of a drug is made, then you somehow gain over an edge over side opposition. Another thing that you should understand, I think some good arguments is about consent. When you talk about consent, it's a very form of important rights that exist now. Because but the point consent come very late. I think it's late in the second speaker speeches. Just a little bit touching about that, and then the speaker really extended. Also, I think both teams need to, let's say, strategize their arguments, because both teams give out some new form of argumentation in their whip speeches and reply speeches, which in the future could be penalized if you do it so. For the opposition, I think first of all, you need to have a better cohesion between your team, because there's no relation in what LOs, the majority of things that LO said does not relate to what the DLO and the whip of opposition give out to this debate. So I think you could do some strategy when you prep. You need to prep well and divide certain arguments that you could give out to the most important point you give to the first speaker. The second speaker job is to extend the party point by engaging towards your opponent. In the way to engage is there's many ways. Number one is engaging the worst case and best case scenario of that team and comparing that to your situation. Debate is about comparing the situation and and prove to us how your side is better than their side. I think that's all for me. If you have any question, you can ask us.
All right, so I will just go quick on this person to like the individual feedbacks. So for the PM, like for PMs, I would say I really love your structure, because you go one by one from the status quo, and then you go to the stakeholders, and then you go to the burden of proof, and you go to your points. But as what Shazza already mentioned, you're lacking of characterization. So I will explain where you actually lose more, where I actually usually lose my confidence, which is when you actually explain about like, where is it? Okay, you actually about the status quo of the animals, like burden of proof, right? The burden of proof. So like you barely mentions about the burden of proof. If possible, like you can actually further emphasize to me why such burden of proof is really important for them to prove into this debate, to ensure that to ensure that the debate shouldn't be accepted or should be accepted. And then again, and then on the points of stakeholders, you mentioned about 3 stakeholders, but the thing is, you only characterize on the like on the importance of the animals, but you didn't really characterize it. You didn't really characterize on the points of humans. You didn't really characterize on point of complete facilities. What's the importance in these matters? You didn't really actually explain to me on this matter. So if you actually explain to me, you will give me some insight. Oh, why this thing is really bad and why this company should stop. Because you did give to me. You say, okay, the company actually gain profit. The company actually try to. You did explain to me. But the thing is, like, that's the purpose of company. They need to gain profit. So what is really bad? You didn't explain that to me. So if you can explain that, then you guys will give very good examples. So again, I think, but the thing is, I will say about the time management. So because you speak, like, I think around 6 minutes, something like that. So if possible, like, I wouldn't say I would encourage, but at least like 7 minutes, 10 seconds, 7 minutes, 15 seconds is the best times for you to speak at least. So because I mean during the 6 minutes you actually lose a lot because like I didn't really get most of the point, because I wanted to hear more of your point, because you said that animals have their own right. But the thing is, like, you barely mention certain points of your, like, say you said they have the right to live. You can't differentiate them from others and so whatsoever. But you barely mention. But if you're able to characterize all these matters more, which is you should have a lot of times to say about this matter, so it can be a very good things to be done lah. So yeah, that's all. You need to debate. You have a very good characterization, but you need to improve more on your you have a very good structure, but you need to like improve your elaboration lah. So for the DPM, where are my points? Okay, for DPMs. Okay, for DPM, I will say, first of all, I will say sorry, because like sometimes I didn't really catch up your points because of the lagging things. But don't worry, I already get the points from the Shazza also. So the way that I see is that most of your points are, I would say, you spend too much of your time to rebut the other parties. Like for me, like if I wasn't mistaken, if I time correctly, you spend to rebut for at least 3 minutes and 40 seconds, which is that's not what a second speaker is supposed to do. You as a second speaker, you need to enforce the points given by your prime ministers, and also to provide any substantive matters on the debates on the motion. So when this thing happens, actually, because in terms of rebutting, you can actually rebut for around 1 minute and 50 seconds or 1 minute 30 seconds. That's max. I think the best for the second speaker would do, and then leave the rest to your third speaker to do the whole things, because that's his job. For your job, need to reinforce your points to make sure your point is clear and being able to be put in the place. Because why? Because when you put so much time in rebutting the other side, if you're able to do well, then it's good. But the thing is, when it comes to point of your points, you don't really have much time to actually explain your point. If I wasn't mistaken, you talk about other alternative, and then the last point is about the natures of the animals before and after their life, right? So on this point, you have a very minimum of time to explain, because I would like to hear what's the major difference of their life before and after they're being tested, because you just able to explain to me there are significant changes. So I need to hear from you why these significant changes are so dire. It's a very big problems that need to be solved. So if you and these things that I would love to hear from you, but the thing is, because of a short of time, you can't explain that. So I believe that you have more times, you can actually explain that matters. Okay, for the government third speaker. Okay, I think you did a really good job in addressing the points given by the opposition. You did really a good job. The way you approach this matter is a really good way. But I would say that but if I may suggest, I would prefer you to address that matter from the recent points to the last point, because just now you addressed on the points of, if I wasn't mistaken, you talk about concern first, right? So the concern point, like it's something that bring up by the second or the third second speakers of the I think it's mostly coming from the first speaker's opposition. So, but what I'm trying to hear more, I would like maybe you can firstly explain about the chain reaction things, right? Because the chain reaction thing comes very late from the second speaker, and then if you can actually talk about this chain reaction first, rebut on that matters first, because that thing is actually, for me as educators, that thing is still very fresh in my brains, right? So I can actually digest what we said earlier. I can actually give more a better evaluations on the points. But this is just a tips. You did really good job, but the way that you can improve is actually address the concern according to recent concern and to the last concern, and then I would say that you on the points of like just now you talk about the long term research material, right? So if I was to be strict, I would say that it's a new points given by you. If I was to be strict, but I've tried to not be strict on this matter. Uh, what I want to say that there's something that shouldn't be done by you, because you, as a third speaker, you just need to rebut. But again, but I think I understand that it still can be considered as a rebuttal, so I do accept their points. But on the next debate, try to make sure that you are in line. You don't try to bring something new into the tables, because if you got someone that maybe straighter compared to me, they might penalize you like deduct 1 mark or whatsoever. Okay, so I think that's all from the government side. And for the opposition, I think like what Shazwan was saying, the LO, you are lacking in your characterizations, and I would love to see the way the structure. I would love to see you try to structure your points in a clear manner. So first, like, because you are the LO, so before you actually address to the concerns provided by the PMs, you can actually give out what's the stance of the opposition side first. So what's your status quo on these matters? What the opposition side thinks about this matter. So, and then you go into the stakeholders that you wanted to protect. And then so then you start to compare the points given by the PS and your points. So, and that's when you try to do that, you can actually see that your points are going to be more structured compared to just now, where you straight go forward to the stakeholders, but then you don't characterize anything about the stakeholders. Just go to animals. So stakeholders, and you go to animals, and then you straight go for worlds without animals. So like, what's the importance of these stakeholders here? Because if you just simply to jump to a world without animals, because the world would be, so because I will see your point as your like just what the other speaker say is just an assumption, but yes, it's still a valid point. Again, and then their points, I will say what I would like to give a credit is that when you talk about the marginalized group, you talk about the chain reaction, because that's a really important matters that actually brings something new into the tables and gives a dynamics to the opposition sides. Okay, I think that's all from me for the LO. But I say for the LO, maybe for the next round, you can improve on your elaborations and also can improve on your structures. If you can do that, then I think it's a very good thing to do. So just a very simple tip for you to structures. Very simple. You already just need to define, and then you explain the status quo, and then you explain the stakeholders that involved and the spirit of the motion. What the motions try to achieve to this, because these are the things that absence into whole these debates. The spirits of this motion. What are the things that the motion try to achieve? So because at the end of the day, this is all about animal versus humans, but don't try to achieve the emotions of the spirit of this motion to actually to protect the animals from any cruelty, and also to ensure that the charity of humans are being protected. So for the DLO, I would say is you did a really good job. You straight up most of the things coming from the opposition side. We are very clear in what you wanted to say. You give a very concise and a very short explanation, but yet impactful on what you want to say. It's something that very simple to understand, but yet it's something that correlated to what I wanted to hear. And I think the points that I will give credits to you when you talk about we can't avoid stages. So animals need to be there as one of the layers of the testing methods, because if we skip the stages, and then we will actually put more risk to the humans, and also might actually give a bad worst case scenarios to both parties. And so that's the things that I will give credits to you. And then on top of suffering, so for the suffering, I think you did a really good case analysis. why I'm saying that you did really good case analysis here, because you able to compare about the sufferings of humans and also the sufferings of animals in a really good way. And the points that I would like to credit here is that when you say that for humans it's really hard for you to mitigate, but for animals you are actually able to mitigate by reducing the effect, at least by euthanasia. So even though maybe it's unethical to do so, but at least it was permissible by the law itself. Compared to human, it was not permissible to do so because and it's illegal to do so. So it is a very good case analysis that coming from you, and I would say I will give credit to that matter. So I think that's all for the LO, and for the opposition whip, I would say you like what Shazwan said to me, you are more to rephrasing what your DLO have stated earlier. You did have your own points given. I do give credit to the matters, but the thing is that you need to bring us some new analysis. Or if you wanted to say the same thing as what your DLO have already talked, you can actually further elaborate that matters, because I would say that most points that you bring out has already been mentioned by your DLO. So when this happens, we don't see any further developments on this matter. So, but the thing is, since what your DLO says already stand throughout the debates, so your points also still stand. So because there is no one from the government side did actually able to really engage to what your DLO have said. So if you on the next round, what I will say to you is that try to like further analyze what your DLO have analyzed or what your LO have analyzed. So in that case, you can actually further can further make a better argumentative can make a better arguments lah. So and then maybe you can take a look on what the opposition whip government whips have done, where actually they try to find the clashes points of the debate. So you did try to find the clashes point, but it wasn't like clearly addressed. So what's the clashes that we wanted to address? Like for example, the government whip, they say, okay, we wanted to address on the clashes point of the concern. Straightforward. Okay, I want to address our concern. So on your points, like I need to you go around to talk about this matter, about concern. So if you can simply address, okay, I want to talk about concern. So I know what you want to go. I know what you're going to talk. So I know where I'm going to refer. I know how I'm going to give remarks. So I think that's all coming from me for personal feedback. So if you guys any other further question, you can personally PM me. If you can get my numbers from the organizers. I think that's all from me. If Shazwan, if you wanted to add anything, or
I think no, I don't think. I think it's already a thorough explanation.
Yeah. So I think that's all from me. Chairperson, you can take over.
Thank you for adjudicators. So with that, the House of Parliament is adjourned. Thank you. You may.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Edge.
Thanks
guys.
everyone.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Congrats.
Good job, guys.